Let's address the woolly mammoth in the room. Auditions, man. They are a B. They are an MF. And every once in a blue moon, they're your best friend. So I recently had an audition. It was the procedural cop, interrogation type of a deal. Short scene for a guest star role. Pretty straightforward in terms of the dialogue. So I have two cops. I place cop A an inch to the right of the camera. Obviously, never look into the camera. And then I place cop B an inch or two to the left of the camera. So we have that. You have all the technical stuff, the fourth wall. You can place the door. You can imagine the room. It's my office, so I know I'm at my desk. I know where the window is, I know where the painting is, I know where my certificates are, etc., etc. You can do all these technical things with balance, of course. You don't need to put your kids, 6 pictures and they're playing soccer in one and doing whatever in the other. You don't need to go overboard and be too precious about it, right? And be pretentious about it. But you just want to give life to the space. You want to orient yourself and make it livable, make it living, right? Albert Einstein said imagination is the most powerful force in the universe, right? I'm paraphrasing. And I think that really applies to a lot of things, but obviously as actors, we can use that for our craft. So as I said, it was pretty straightforward. They're asking me questions. Where's your guy? How do you know him? When's the last time you saw him? So I'm working out these details. And there's a million things or ways that you can play that. It does say that I'm shocked and scared and different things like that. So you don't want to veer off from that necessarily. I guess you can if you'd like. In hindsight, I had a thing the day after where I said I should have been laughing about it. Kind of like Tupac and Juice when he's getting interrogated. I don't know if you remember that scene when they're asking him about his man that he had shot. And he's laughing and really loose. And that came across really strong and powerful. That was a great choice that he made. But at the same time, it's a guest star. The writer is distinct in what he wants. So I gave them what they wanted, right? I gave my version of nervous, scared, thrown off. I'm not a criminal, right? I'm a real estate guy, so it's not like I'm a criminal necessarily. But the thing that I wanted to highlight, there were a couple of opportunities in the beginning of the scene as these two officers are interrogating me, taking their turns, good cop, bad cop type of a deal. It does say that forensics pulls a phone out of my bag, right? So of course, that's up to me where to place forensics. Where are they? So since the door was over there, I have them coming from around my right side and going towards the door. So I start the scene. That's what catches my attention. But it's not like I said, I pre-planned the movements and I said, okay, hey, that's my phone. That would look fake, right? So it was kind of like they have my attention. I'm looking at them. And then I notice movement on my right. And of course, everybody's, precious about their belongings, right? So I see them near my bag. So of course, naturally, that draws my attention. So it's one of these things, like kind of like surprised attention turn, right? You still have your energy here. And then I didn't just look in one place. I didn't look at the guy's head or the girl's head. I looked at their hand grabbing the phone. I looked at my bag. What else did they take? There's a bunch of micro processes and thoughts going through my mind. So I'm playing this out, AKA living it out as it's happening, right? So it catches my attention. I turn, look up and down, right? And then kind of notice them as they start to turn to walk out. And that's when my attention can go back to the officer because I know already at that point what's going on. And that's when I say, hey, that's not my phone, right? That's not my phone. But I don't say it to the forensics guy. They're just doing their job. They're doing the grunt work, probably what this captain or that captain told them to do. So as I'm turning, the question orients, the statement or the question orients to them as I'm turning, hey, that's not my phone, but I'm still pointing that way. So that was an opportunity to make it real, to make it living, right? And again, moment to moment, micro moments, how your eyes would dart up and down. When you assess somebody, you're at the store, you're at the counter, you feel somebody behind you, you feel somebody getting impatient when your card isn't going through or your card is not swiping properly or whatever it may be, and then you feel that, and then you don't just turn and stare at them, right? There's social things you have to do, so you kind of turn, maybe kind of peek with your peripheral, keep feeling their energy, so now your attention is divided between the cashier, the terminal of the card, and the person behind you, whatever percentage that is. It's not like you're calculating, but you're living it out as if it's happening. So we go back and forth our whole spiel, cop A, cop B, this, that, and the other. And at a certain point, cop B goes towards one of my projects. There's a model of a building that I'm working on. So he kind of drifts off. So of course, I had to allow for that. So he's no longer camera to my left of the camera. He kind of drifts off a little bit more, but you don't want to go too much, right? Because it is an audition. You don't have to make it completely real. So I just kind of let it drift off. So let me just say that it's super challenging. You're in a 6x6 cube with a stranger. You're feeling uncomfortable. You don't know what to do with your hands. Obviously, there's no props. There's no nothing. You're making it totally out of your imagination. And again, that's what draws me back to Albert Einstein's quote. It's your job to create that world. It's not the casting director's job to make you comfortable. They don't care. They don't know you. They have to see 100 of you. It's not the production's job at that point. It's your job. You're the professional. You're the one with the expertise. You're the architect. You have to draw the designs. You have to draw the renderings. You have to at least give an initial plan or a sketch, let's just say, because you haven't been hired yet. You're not going to put in 6,000 hours and build the whole blueprint, right? But at least you have to give a professional rendering of what it is that you see and what it is that you bring to the table as the professional actor, right? So as I was saying, cop B drifts over. He's talking to me as he's looking at the model. He's addressing the model, referring to the model. Now I'm talking to him. So he has my attention. Cop A is still kind of over here. And as the scene winds down, and again, it was just run-of-the-mill, 1 or 2 page procedural type of a deal. So we're winding down. And at the end, again, forensics is back at my bag, but this time they grab my laptop, and that is mine. That's my laptop, and that's when. So it's the same deal as the beginning of the scene, but it catches more of my attention because now, hey, that's my laptop, right? I don't know the context of the scene. I don't know the script. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there's stuff in the laptop, but nonetheless, it's my, hey, that's my shit, right? So I turn around, and this time it's again. Look at the laptop leaving my bag. Look at the person. Who is it real quick? What are they doing with it? Are they actually, is she actually taking that thing right now? And go, hey, that's mine. This time I say it to them, maybe with a little quarter twist towards her because I know it's her call, Officer A. Hey, that's mine. Da-da-da-da. And then it's just silence. Like she says, we have to take it for evidence or whatever it is. And at that point is when the scene winds down and I have my last line, like, what happened to Joe Schmo, right? So even if it's a mundane scene, even if it doesn't seem to be opportunities for you to act, right? There's always opportunities. You just have to find it because, again, that's what your job is. So I'm not saying don't pay attention to the lines, don't do the scene study, don't pay attention to the context. And at the end of the day, our hands are tied in terms of, we don't have that much material. We don't know the entire breadth, BREADTH of the story. We pretty much get those 2 or 3 pages for the most part if you're doing guest stars, co-stars, right? So they're not expecting you to understand the whole context. So you can create these opportunities and show, real life, and that's going to differentiate you and give you distinction from all the other hundreds, if not thousands or whatever, dozens of other people that they're looking at. Just put yourself in their position. If they're seeing dozens of people and then they see somebody doing these things that not everybody else is doing, it's going to set you apart, right? Aside from the acting stuff that you can do.